Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. Village Chief. Qin Mu felt a sharp pain in his heart and immediately discarded his distracting thoughts, refocusing on refining spirit pills to heal the divine flood dragon king's injuries. The sky was white in front of them. Then the sun rose in the horizon, its first rays shining on the battlefield. Qin Mu's heart sank. The god had already stepped into the territory of Eternal Peace Empire. The meteorological weapons were all over Eternal Peace Empire, and if the god managed to find even one of them, he could cause catastrophic damage. The casualties would be in hundreds of millions. The Divine Flood Dragon King's injuries got much better, and their speed gradually increased. As he checked on the footprints of the god, the Dragon King suddenly said in delight, "Your Majesty, the god's injuries has erupted and his speed is gradually slowing down. We will be able to catch up to him in no time." Qin Mu relaxed. Just be at ease and give chase boldly. His injuries are extremely heavy, otherwise, he would have left without leaving a trace. The Divine Flood Dragon King felt much better. Even though his abilities were extremely powerful, his guts were inferior to even those of the Dragon Qin. He did things with constant fear and nervousness. As they covered 3,000 miles of Eternal Peace Empire, they saw the speed of the god growing slower and slower. They got closer with the sight of the blood left behind in the god's footsteps forcing the grass and flowers in the surroundings to grow crazily. It was evident that his injuries had erupted and he couldn't control the divine blood in his body anymore. But suddenly, the divine blood vanished along with any other traces. He detected that we are chasing him, so he hid his trail. The Divine Flood Dragon King sniffed the surroundings, but didn't discover any traces of the god. His body suddenly trembled, and he spread out like flood, changing into water flood dragons which flew off in all directions. Cai Yunxiang flew into midair and looked around. She could see a city in front of them, so she said, "Cult Master, it should be Purple Chased City to the south of us. Would the god have gone there?" Qin Mu wanted to get up from the back of the dragon, but his legs wobbled and he almost knelt down. He gasped for breath before saying, "Purple Chased City? Does our sacred cult have any power there?" "Yes. The border area situated at Purple Chased City, which faces great ruins, is warm like spring for all 4 seasons. It is suitable to feed strange beasts. So the Hall Master of 10,000 Beasts Hall is there. It's a huge industry and the mountains in the surroundings are all used for feeding strange beasts. After being raised, they are sold to the Imperial Court for the military." Cai Yunxiang was in the Cai family which controlled all the money of Heavenly Saint cult, so she was rather knowledgeable about it. 10,000 Beasts Hall is a very important source of wealth for our sacred cult. Qin Mu let out a sigh of relief and smiled. "Let's go to Purple Chased City then, and call 10,000 Beasts Hall Master to meet me. The god entered our eternal peace, which means he entered the territory of our sacred cult. Even if he wants to hide, how can he hide from my eyes and ears?" Cai Yunxiang rode the Dragon Qin to rush to Purple Chased City. Qin Mu, in the meantime, had the dragons search everywhere, so he was slightly slower. Yet he still couldn't find any traces of the god. After some time, they came to the outskirts of Purple Chased City, and before Qin Mu could even enter the city, he saw a burly man following Cai Yunxiang in a hurry. He bowed in greeting, and Qin Mu waved his hand. "Does Hall Master have any method to find the location of an injured god? Does Cult Master have any of his clothes?" 10,000 Beasts Hall Master asked. "Nope. However, I did get hold of some of his divine blood." Qin Mu took out a small bottle of divine blood and asked, "Can this be used?" 10,000 Beasts Hall Master let out a sigh of relief and whistled. Suddenly, a bunch of big black dogs sprinted over. They had slim waists, necks, and legs, which resulted in their speed being extremely fast. These are hybrids between Great Ruin's Heavenly Dog and a native dog. They are the best at tracking. 10,000 Beasts Hall Master received the jade bottle and let the big black dogs take a sniff. A bunch of them leaped up as though they were flying, then rushed away. After a moment, the ground trembled and a few behemoths dug out. They were big rats that looked like porcupines, but they were much bigger than wild boars. 10,000 Beasts Hall Master let them take a sniff of the divine blood, and they tunneled back underground to start their search. Lonely cries of eagles came from the sky and a few huge birds came diving down. Before they even landed on the ground, dust rose into the sky. The next moment, a bunch of golden eagles with the wingspan of several yards landed. 10,000 Beasts Hall Master let them sniff the divine blood and they flapped their wings to leave. Cult Master, I still have to let the blood dragon eels in the river take a whiff. 10,000 Beasts Hall Master said. They are skilled in tracking in water. Hall Master sure is attentive, Qin Mu praised. They walked into Purple Chased City and Qin Mu asked, were there any abnormal sights in the surroundings recently? For example, stone statues popping out from underground or some treasure? It's right in the city. Over 10 days ago, the most famous fragrance well suddenly stopped producing water. The land trembled, and a huge good came from inside. It's 15 yards tall and is plated with gold. There are many runes on it, but I didn't understand them at all, 10,000 Beasts Hall Master explained. The magistrate ordered to lock the area around Fragrance Well, forbidding anyone from getting close. He said it was the Emperor's order. Qin Mu's heart picked up in speed, and he said, let's go over. As they walked quickly to Fragrance Well, 10,000 Beasts Hall Master smiled and asked, in front is Fragrance Well. Eh? The golden eagles circled in the sky above them while big black dogs sprinted through the land, heading straight for Fragrance Well. Trembles even came from underground, big rats popping out from time to look around. Qin Mu's heart instantly jumped into his throat. The god of high heavens was right in the city and was near Fragrance Well. Have everyone leave Purple Chased City immediately. 10,000 Beasts Hall Master's heart tightened and he went to inform the magistrate. Qin Mu stopped him as he tilted his head. Wait a moment, there's no need to have everyone leave. 10,000 Beasts Hall Master was slightly stunned, but Hu Linga and Sai Yunxiang instantly understood what Qin Mu meant. There's no point in them leaving. If the meteorological weapon gets activated, no one will be able to run away. Even if they run to the capital, they still won't be able to avoid the explosion. This kind of weapon can travel thousands of miles in an instant. If its power was completely unleashed, it could probably shroud the entire Eternal Peace Empire. A chill ran down the back of 10,000 Beasts Hall Master. They were tens of thousands of miles away from the capital, but they couldn't escape even after running all that distance. What kind of weapon was that huge bottle gourd in Fragrance Well? Qin Mu straightened his shirt and walked toward Fragrance Well with unhurried steps. He'd been in a rush earlier, but now he was quite relaxed. Don't let the people in the city leave. Sai Yunxiang was slightly stunned. The people in this city are the god's hostages. If we let them go, he will have no hostages and will immediately activate the bottle gourd, starting the natural disaster. Qin Mu whispered. Sai Yunxiang couldn't help shuddering as she looked at him. The power of the meteorological weapons was too strong. They had tested it in granny-size manner and knew it full well. Not even 1% of Earthquake Cauldron's power had been unleashed, yet it had injured Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, Village Chief, and the rest of the experts with its tremors. The residue power had even traveled several hundred miles and shaken the mountains. If the people in the city stayed, they'd be located at the center of the explosion. This way, if they died, they would feel much less pain. Cough, cough. The god coughed twice, but it wasn't an act, his body was truly weak. His coughing came from near Fragrance Well, as did the sneering voice right after. Little thing, you chased me all the way here, but aren't you afraid I will activate this 5 Thunder Pot? 5 Thunder Pot? Qin Mu walked toward Fragrance Well, going up the steps. He had the Divine Flood Dragon King follow beside him as he smiled. This treasure is called 5 Thunder Pot? May I ask which 5 thunders are within it? The Divine Flood Dragon King looked at the courtyard in front and frowned slightly. He shook his body, and it instantly became smaller, taking the form of a youth wearing a sapphire blue robe. He looked somewhat fierce, but wasn't bad looking. The Dragon Chileen also shook his body and sucked in his tummy, but it popped out again with a boing. Hu Linga immediately covered her face and said with embarrassment, "Fatty dragon, don't call me Sister Linga anymore. This is so embarrassing." Other flood dragons bared their fangs and brandished their claws while shouting "Maha Maha." They shook the bodies as well, but none of them transformed into humans. Instead, they all sucked their tummy in before releasing them with a boing. These guys have all gotten pretty fat after following young master. Their little tummies are all bulging out. Hu Linga surveyed the dragons with a serious face and thought to herself, "I should tell young master to take note of their diet from now on." The flood dragons had not learned the art of morphing before, since dragon-rearing sovereign had only raised them for battle. He had never treated them as his disciples, so he didn't teach them the human language either. Qin Mu brought everyone to ascend up the steps. The courtyard before them showed up to be huge, like that of a large manor. In the center of it was the famous fragrance well of purple chaste city. It was a famous historical site. Rumors said that the land had once been barren, so when a bunch of escapees running from soldiers came to it, they had no water to drink and died from thirst. The survivors then prayed to the heaven, and a miracle happened. The ground swirled and cracked up, revealing a deep well whose water had a lovely fragrance. Because of that, it was named Fragrance Well. Around it was a courtyard built of bricks. It had a tight guard, plenty of which were divine arts practitioners. There were 3 layers of defense inside and 3 layers outside. But at that moment, all of those divine arts practitioners were sleeping on the ground, without a single one being awake. It was obvious that it was the doing of the god. 5 thunder are actually classified with directions north, south, east, west, and middle, and they form 5 great thunderclouds. Qin Mu walked into the courtyard and saw that fragrance well was gone. It had cracked from being burst apart from inside by a huge treasure. It didn't really look like it was a bottle gourd, but like it was made out of green jade in that shape. It was roughly 15 yards tall, and the runes that appeared on it looked like clouds yet not clouds, like dragon yet not dragons, like lightning yet not lightning. Under the bottle gourd sat a man with a horn who looked rather miserable. He was covered in injuries, and there were even a few broken bones sticking out from his skin. They looked quite horrifying. His leg was also broken, resulting in a bloody mess. His bones there were shattered and much of his soul had already rotted. Qin Mu couldn't help feeling sorrowful and asked in concern, "How are brother's injuries? You are the one who smashed it, so what do you think?" The one-horned man took a glance at him, his voice lacking politeness. His injuries had been caused by Qin Mu smashing him with a broken moon, which crippled him. If that wasn't enough, he even chased him all the way to the city and then dared to act courteously by asking him how were his injuries. Qin Mu blushed with shame and revealed an apologetic smile. A doctor treats a patient like the parents a child. Truth be told, this little brother has learned the art of healing and is known as a divine physician with sacred hands. I'm the most merciful, frequently treating people and saving them. I can't bear to see people injured, thus when I saw brother's injuries, my compassion couldn't help stirring. If brother can believe me, I can't. The one-horned god sneered at him. No need to say more. This 5 thunder pot contains 5 thunderclouds which aren't very big, so they can at most cover the territory of Eternal Peace Empire. There are fire-bell divine weapons in the clouds, so with a single ring, the entire empire will be buried by lightning. You chased me this far, but aren't you scared I will activate 5 thunder pot? Qin Mu went forward and supported himself on the 5 thunder pot. He said with a smile, "How can I not be scared? But if I don't chase after you, won't you still activate 5 thunder pot? Not only will you activate it, you will even activate all the other meteorological weapons. Just 5 thunder pot alone isn't enough to kill all of Eternal Peace's people, but if you activate all the other meteorological weapons as well, that would then be a fatal disaster. Wait, how should I address senior brother?" The one-horned god looked at the youth who was the divine flood dragon king who opened his mouth to speak. "Your Majesty, he's God Bai Shi of high heavens." "Senior brother Bai Shi," Qin Mu said solemnly. "The fact that you didn't activate 5 thunder pot immediately means that there's room for discussion. In that case, why don't we discuss?" The eyes of God Bai Shi were slightly farther apart than normal, but even though they were small, they were round. What do you suggest? You go to great ruins and turn into a stone statue, and you will live, Qin Mu said with a smile. God Bai Shi laughed loudly, his voice sounding like a huge bell. He sneered and said, "Just a brat like you expects me to turn myself into a stone statue willingly? I'm a god of high heavens. If I came to this kind of agreement with you, wouldn't I become a laughingstock to all the people in the world?" Qin Mu refined a furnace of spirit pills to treat himself and replenish his life force. What does senior brother suggests? I'll activate 5 thunder pot and you will let me off, then I won't touch the rest of the meteorological weapons. Qin Mu consumed the spirit pills and said weakly, "No can do." God Bai Shi's tiny eyes shrank. Don't force me into the path of no return. If I can't complete this mission given to me by the high gods, I won't be able to live. Either you let me activate 5 thunder pot and let me go, or I'll activate it and fight you to the death. Even if I die, I'll pull you guys down as well. Qin Mu shook his head. You can't pull any of us down. Bai Shi laughed loudly while Qin Mu took out the true dragon's nest to fetch out the god's limbs which he had stolen from Xing'an. He then pieced these limbs into the shape of a 4-headed and many-armed devil god. Senior brother Bai Shi, I have ways to protect myself. I'm skilled in the art of teleportation and also know the art of summoning. This body is prepared for an old friend of mine. If you don't come to an agreement with me, I will summon him from Duqian world, and there won't even be a need to mention protecting me, since killing you will be a breeze for him. God Bai Shi's gaze landed on the 4-headed and many-armed body, and his eyes became even smaller. You're trying to scare me? How could you know any devil god? Qin Mu smiled and took out a white bone altar as well as a wooden sculpture of a devil god. He executed Ghost Transferring God Dispatching Runes command and cast his spell on the altar. After a moment, evil wind blew in waves while devil chi churned. All kinds of runes began lighting up on the wooden devil god sculpture. God Bai Shi's face changed slightly, and he immediately said, "Stop. You can stop summoning. I believe you." Qin Mu immediately stopped and secretly sighed in relief. If he continued to summon, even if he managed to contact Duqian Devil King, the other might not pay any attention to him. Duqian Devil King carried a heavy burden and his guts were small. Ever since he had left back then, he had never contacted Qin Mu again. He had also said that he would definitely not come back to his world again. If Duqian Devil King knew that 100 god statues had appeared in Eternal Peace Empire along with meteorological weapons of immeasurable power, he definitely wouldn't dare to show himself. Qin Mu took away the wooden sculpture and placed the body he had pieced together on the altar with a smile. Now can we talk? God Bai Shi's face flickered between clarity and grimness. After calculating for a moment, he gritted his teeth. I have young and old in high heavens, and if I can't complete this mission, my whole race is going to be exterminated. I need to return to high heavens to bring them out. Your Majesty, don't believe him, the Divine Flood Dragon King said in a low voice. He indeed has a race in high heavens, but high heavens aren't a place in which he can just come and go as he pleases. There's a receiving official in high heavens, and without his permission, no one can enter or leave. Qin Mu smiled. God Bai Shi's expression changed drastically and he sneered. How did Dragon-rearing sovereign raise a traitor like you? The Divine Flood Dragon King sneered back at him. If Dragon Sovereign wasn't subdued by His Majesty, why would have I turned traitor? Dumbfounded, God Bai Shi he cried out, Dragon-rearing sovereign was subdued by him. Similar to you, Dragon-rearing sovereign was severely injured by me and had no choice but to submit to me in the end, Qin Mu said with a warm smile. My terms to him were extremely generous, to become the Dragon King of Surging River. Every year, the people who commit suicide in the river and those that drown in shipwrecks are all his rations, so his meals are definitely good. On top of that, there are over 100 Dragon King temples of all sizes beside the river, and they all worship him. Dragon-rearing sovereign enjoys his incenses and offerings, living his days out in unmatched comfort. God Bai Shi smiled from anger. Yet you want me to turn myself into a stone statue. I dare not accept it. Could it be that I'm inferior to that scumbag who raises dragons? Senior brother Bai Shi, what requests do you have? Just name them, and if I can satisfy you, I will definitely not be stingy. It's just that the matter of activating 5 Thunderpot is too delicate. If you activate the treasure, either you or I will have to die. Qin Mu said with utter sincerity. Goodbye, she muttered irresolutely, unable to make up his mind. Qin Mu's gaze flickered, and he took a glance at 5 Thunderpot. He was truly afraid of the huge bottle gourd, so he probed, how about this, can you wait a few days? If the gods of your high heavens achieve victory and activate the other meteorological weapons, I will turn around and leave, allowing you to activate this 5 Thunderpot. I will return to great ruins and not dabble in the worldly affairs anymore, allowing the true gods to descend and erase the world. If you don't receive any news of the gods of high heavens activating other meteorological weapons, you and I will talk again. What do you think? Goodbye, she gritted his teeth and said firmly, all right. Qin Mu laughed loudly, then coughed a few times while gasping for breath. Senior brother, little brother's body isn't in a good condition, so I'll take my leave now. Astonished, Goodbye, she thought to himself, this brat sure is naive, leaving me here. If the senior brothers of high heavens are able to activate the other meteorological weapons, it wouldn't matter if I activate 5 Thunderpot or not. But if they don't activate them, it would mean that they had all died, and there would be nothing wrong with me submitting. As Qin Mu walked out of the courtyard, his face turned dark, scaring Cai Yinxiang and the rest. His expression had changed way too fast. Saintess Xiong, inform the Emperor to have Sunshot Divine Cannon brought over here. Qin Mu said ruthlessly. Also, I will write down a prescription, for which Saintess you will have to help me grab the herbs. I want to refine a poison. Next, have all the experts who are skilled in 5 demons transferring technique to come over so we can send 5 Thunderpot as far away as possible. Cai Yinxiang hesitated for a moment, then probed, Cult Master, it isn't good to do this, is it? We need to be prepared, just in case. If things go sour, we can move 5 Thunderpot away and kill him. Qin Mu raised his brush and wrote down the spirit herbs and poisonous herbs he needed. The magistrate of Purple Chased City came to visit him, but was held off by Hu Linger. Young master is not seeing any visitors for the next couple days. The magistrate was helpless and could only leave. Cai Yinxiang hurriedly contracted Cai family, asking it to inform the brothers of the cult to report to the emperor as soon as possible. She also had the elders in the cult to strictly choose the best experts of 5 demons transferring technique and send them over as soon as possible. When Qin Mu handed over the prescription, Cai Yinxiang realized that there were over 100 types of herbs in it, and she had never seen or heard about many of them. These spirit herbs will probably be very difficult to find, so you will need to flip through all the medicine shops in the cities all over the empire in order to find them. It's going to take quite some time. Qin Mu let out a shaky breath and smiled. I gave Gobbaishi those couple days for us to find the herbs, and also to wait for the experts of the cult and the emperor to come. Otherwise, why would I have let him consider it for so long? Cai Yinxiang sighed. As your enemy, they have to be careful not to choke on even rice when eating. I've already informed the sacred cult. Besides a few elders that who skilled in 5 demons transferring technique, the rest will come from Lightfinger's Hall. Lightfinger's Hall? Qin Mu stared blankly at her with a look of inquiry. Light fingers mean that they are thieves. Cai Yinxiang smiled and said, thieves hold the majority in Lightfinger's Hall. They usually steal from the rich, taking away the riches from the wealthy families over to us. However, they are usually working on small-scale things. Lately though, the emperor recruited them into the army to grab the enemy's rations, and many of them achieved meritorious services, so their official positions aren't shabby. I see. Qin Mu suddenly understood it and praised them. In every trade, a master will always appear. Even a thief can be promoted and gain wealth. I must tell this to Grandpa Cripple. Yet he was also worried. He didn't know what the situation was like on God-Broken Mountain Range, where Cripple and the rest had intercepted the gods of high heavens. With Grandpa Apothecary there, they should be fine. Even though he thought so, he still couldn't help worrying. Even though Apothecary could save the injured, it was still a battlefield of gods and devils. If they got killed, even Apothecary wouldn't be able to save them. Cai Yinxiang ordered the disciples of the cult to prepare the herbs while Qin Mu wrote down prescriptions to treat his own injuries. Hu Linga grabbed the herbs from the medicine shops in the city so his body could be nursed properly. After all, the life force exhausted by using moonship was no small matter. If there was a way to replenish it, he would do all he could to do so. After 2-3 days, Qin Mu felt much better. He then brought the divine Flood Dragon King and a bunch of flood dragons into the courtyard of Fragrance Well to ask, "Senior Brother Bai Shi, would you like me to treat your injuries?" "No need," God Bai Shi said with alertness. "A person who's skilled in medicine is naturally skilled in poison. If I consumed your medicine, I'm worried I wouldn't even know how I died." Qin Mu took a glance at his wounds and saw that they were no longer bleeding. However, there were many broken bones that made his appearance pretty miserable. "If your leg is not treated soon, it will go lame and you will only be able to use one leg to walk. After 2 more days, the lame one will have to be sawed off. On top of that, the rot from your injury will slowly spread through the rest of your body, which is fine for now. You will start to rot alive." God Bai Shi sneered at him. "You are trying to scare me? I am a god, so how will my flesh and blood spoil? You used a moon to strike me and not a divine art. My flesh and blood won't spoil from an attack of brute strength." Qin Mu sighed. "That moon is a treasure forged by a god during founding emperor era, so how could it not have any divine art? That moon is also the supreme yin whose qi is the best at spoiling a person's corporeal body. Hiding a sickness for fear of treatment, never did I expect a magnificent god to be like this as well." After he said that, he shook his sleeves and left. God Bai Shi sneered over and over again. Qin Mu walked out of the courtyard of Fragrance Well where Cai Yinxiang had already prepared a portion of the spirit herbs. "There are still some spirit herbs that haven't been found yet, but I have told the brothers of the cult to locate them as soon as possible. Once they are found, they will send them over on a fast ship." Qin Mu examined the spirit herbs and said, "The herbs now still can't take his life, only one leg at most." Cai Yinxiang jumped in shock and immediately asked in a whisper, "What are you going to do with his leg?" Qin Mu smiled and instructed her, "Of everyone if the surroundings who has even the slightest external injury, even if it's just a prick from a needle, to leave. They have to get at least 1 mile away from Fragrance Well. What if someone who got pricked by a needle doesn't leave? That would be bad." Qin Mu chose his herbs, his eyes focused solely on them. The place where they got pricked will first become a small hole which will slowly expand. In just 4 to 6 hours, the rot will spread throughout their whole body and their bones will suffer from necrosis. Cai Yinxiang felt a chill run down her spine and hurried away. Fragrance Well was a historical site, so there weren't many people living around it. Cai Yinxiang instructed the magistrate to just move all them away. Qin Mu refined and brewed a medicine that was colorless and odorless, so it was extremely difficult to notice. After 2 days, God Bai Shi instructed someone to invite him over. Qin Mu sealed and put away the medicine he had refined into his Daotai sack as backup. He returned to the courtyard of Fragrance Well and saw God Bai Shi sitting on the floor. The wound on his leg had already started to rot, and it was spreading upwards to the flesh which had been fine before. "You laid your hands on me." God Bai Shi stared intensely at him with his bright eyes and croaked, "It must be something you did in the dark that my leg is spoiling so fast." Qin Mu went over to carefully examine it and shook his head. "I said you were hiding a sickness for fear of treatment, yet you didn't believe me. How could the moon of that moon ship be ordinary? You were injured by it, and if you had let me treat you earlier, you could have kept your leg, but now it's gone. The flesh and blood have already rotted, and the bone marrow is also dead. I can only saw this leg off to prevent it from continuing to spread the rot." The corners of God Bai Shi's eyes twitched as he stared at him ruthlessly. Yet when he saw his expression wasn't faked, he said dejectedly, "If I saw it off, I will only be left with one leg. I will lose a lot of my bargaining power. My medical expertise is astounding and I can attach another person's leg to you. I have 3 legs here, and you can choose the one that you like. After cutting off your leg, you'll have to nurse yourself for 2 days before I will be able to replace it for you," Qin Mu said seriously. God Bai Shi's face flickered between dark and clear as he hesitated in making up his mind. Do you know why I'm called by she? He suddenly asked. Qin Mu shook his head. When a white steed flits past a crack, it lasts but an instant, God by she said with an indifferent tone. This is talking about my speed. It is the number 1 in the world, and you can't even see my silhouette before I'm already 1,000 miles away. With my leg injured, how will I be able to exhibit my speed? Qin Mu nodded. When he had met the 3 gods of high heavens, he had caught one off guard and got rid of him, while God by she was the most difficult to deal with. His speed was extremely fast, and he moved to and fro like lightning. Even when Qin Mu had opened 9 heavens' eyes, awakening skill to the 9th layer, he still could only catch his silhouette. This was why their fight covered several thousand miles before the other's leg got injured, crippling him. You can also run very fast with 1 leg, Qin Mu consoled him. Grandpa Cripple of my village also had 1 leg, but his speed was still unmatched in this world. Look at your spoiled leg, should I saw it off for you? God by she's body trembled and he asked in a hoarse voice, aren't you a divine physician? Don't you have any methods to treat it? Qin Mu's expression dimmed. If it was 2 days ago. If I saw it off now, you will still have 1 leg left, but if you continue to delay, I'll be forced to cut off everything from the waist down. But don't you worry, Grandpa Butcher of my village was also like that when I grew up, yet he also lived pretty well. He could run very fast with his arms, and it was pretty convenient not having to pee. The muscles on God by she's face twitched randomly before he gritted his teeth. In that case, cut it off. Qin Mu took out Carefree sword and passed it to him while saying apologetically. You are a god, so I don't have the ability to cut off your leg. It's best you do it yourself. God by she gripped the hilt of the sword and wanted to make his move, but tears began to flow down from his eyes. Qin Mu couldn't bear to see it and was about to say something when God by she gave a loud shout and slashed down, severing his leg just below the chip. Qin Mu was stunned. He immediately went forward to help him stop bleeding. He put away Carefree sword and took out 3 legs before saying with utter sincerity, you can choose 1 leg. I'm sincere in wanting to save this world from disaster, so I will definitely do all I can to attach your leg back for you to continue to be able to flit past a crack in but an instant. Don't worry, these 3 legs are all from Xing'an's collection, so they are legs of the highest quality and won't be any inferior to your original leg. You know who Xing'an is, right? A madman who loves collecting. He won't collect any body parts that are not on the god level. God by she endured the pain as beads of sweat continued to roll down his forehead. His gaze fell on the 3 legs and he said in a hoarse voice, how do I know if you had done anything to them? A person who is skilled in healing is also skilled in poison. If you've tampered with them, won't I be tricked? Qin Mu looked at him with a sincere gaze. When God by she saw it an expression, he felt slightly ashamed in his heart, but he still didn't dare to believe. His gaze flickered before he pointed at a slightly shorter leg. I choose that one. Qin Mu smiled and handed him that leg while putting away the other 2. Don't worry, you can keep this leg. When your complexion is better 2 days later, I'll come and help attack it. If I leave this leg with you, you won't worry about me doing anything to it, right? God by she nodded and sighed. I shouldn't have doubted you. I now trust that you are a doctor who treats his patient like the parents treat their children. But I don't need you to prescribe me any medicine to recuperate, I'll do it myself. Qin Mu sneered at him. You still don't trust me. Oh well, if you need any spirit herbs, just instruct the divine arts practitioners outside the courtyard to fetch them. I won't interfere. When he was finished, he turned around to leave. God by she summoned the divine arts practitioners over and wrote down a prescription for the medicine he wanted. Outside the courtyard, Cai Yunxiang's gaze flickered, and she asked in a low voice, Cult Master, do you want to do something to his herbs? No need. Are all the spirit herbs I need here? There are still a few left. Qin Mu went over to check and after calculating for a moment said, these are about enough. He took out the other 2 divine legs and prepared to refine poison for them. Cult Master, you, Cai Yunxiang cried out. Even if I let him keep that divine leg, he definitely won't use it. After a few days, he will definitely make me take out these 2 divine legs and choose one of them. Qin Mu refined his poison seriously, planning to hide it in the legs. His serious expression was actually pretty terrifying. I don't know which leg he will use, so I need to prepare both of them. The poison that's left, I plan to. He executed his vital qi and his hand techniques changed without end. Find a chance to return it to Xing'an. What do you think of this idea? Cai Yinxiang shuddered, her face ashen. Cult Master, I don't dare to covet after the position of Cult Master anymore, she said in a trembling voice. What nonsense are you talking about? Qin Mu turned his head back and smiled at her. His smile of a big boy was very radiant, like sunshine, and brimming with youth. Cai Yinxiang felt her blood run cold. This video will end here.